right, cool. So, if you are new here, let me do a quick intro. My name's Justine. I used to be in CS at UserGems. After helping build out that team, I switched over to product marketing, where I've been for the last year and a half. And basically, what my job is here is to help launch new features and new products to our market, and which also includes our customers. So, once a month, I put on a dig deeper session, which will cover something that we've launched in the last couple of weeks or months. And we'll really dive deeper into how to actually use this, how you can implement it into your own UserGems campaigns. So today we're going to talk about the new hires and promotion signal. And basically what this is, it's not champion tracking because these people do not know you. So this is anyone who is a new buyer, so new enroll at one of your key accounts, a target account, an ICP account, something that you're trying to sell into, and someone has just joined and they probably have a budget, they probably have a problem to solve, and they're probably evaluating a lot of tools in their first 30, 60, 90 days. So what we're going to show you is what we've been doing with our own ADR team to break into these accounts as soon as they change jobs to make sure that we are in the conversation really early and not hitting them when they've already spent almost all of their budget in those first 90 days. But first, we're going to talk about some new features and some new updates within UserGems. So the first one here is our new hires and promotion signal. So we've launched it now to customers, but with it, we've also launched workflows. So workflows is actually going to be its own dig deeper session, and workflows is going to be the dig deeper topic in April. So on April 11th, I'm going to talk through how to use our new workflows. So it's setting up advanced routing, notifications, having to add to sequences, updating CRM fields, assigning new owners. It's a lot more granular than our automations that you might be used to. So this you're able to drag and drop and reorder different actions. You're able to get really, really in the weeds of how you want to set up each audience. But it's super easy because we make templates for you. So that'll be April session, but I did want to mention it here that it is available to customers with Salesforce. We will be opening this to HubSpot users hopefully by next quarter, but stay tuned. But the last one here is automatic persona coverage. This one's actually really cool. So I'll talk about that in its own slide. But we can kind of go through actually just workflows and persona because the whole session is going to be on new hires and promotions. So we're not going to have its own slide on that one. So I kind of talked about this a little bit, and I do think this deserves its own session. But you can also talk to your customer success manager about this now. So this is for new hires and promotions specifically. So we're now able to automate all of routing, field updates, sequencing, notifications, and I'll kind of talk about it a little bit in this session, only because we do use workflows to automate our new hires and promotion signal internally. So I'll kind of touch on what automations we use in our workflows. But if you want to actually learn how to set them up for yourself for this signal in UserGems, come to the session in April. A quick note actually that I missed. Sorry, Amber, if you don't want to go back. This workflows also supports existing account tracking customers. So if you are an existing account tracking customer and we're currently filling in white space for you, we can also automate now that whole process. So if you wanted us to automate any of those audiences into sequences, we can now do that with our workflows. So this will also help you currently. So the next thing we launched with our machine learning team is automatic persona coverage. This is our VP of marketing's favorite launch this quarter. So basically what this does here is it'll show you after you build a persona in UserGems what coverage this actually captures in your buyers. And then what we can do is we can take that and automatically suggest additional buyer titles based on who's bought your product in the past and who's your opportunity contacts in your CRM. And it's really simple. Basically, what you'll do is you can see your coverage right in your UserGem settings. You can click on show suggestions, and then you can even add any of the suggestions right into your persona. So it's super easy, and it's honestly a little bit eye-opening to see like what personas you might be missing that are actually really frequent in your CRM. So this is something that we launched this quarter. We also launched a very similar feature for ICP. So if you're interested in that, you can now see your persona coverage and then also suggested ICP industries and employee sizes based on who you've already had success selling with. So this is already available in your settings. If you have any questions about this, reach out to me, reach out to your CSM. All right, so a quick pivot here into why we're all here today, which is what is going on with outbound and what have we been doing to actually be able to create pipeline. So right now, it takes 3 times as many activities to break into accounts. So at this point, buyers don't have any budget. They are tired of you in their email. And you now need to get really, really specific about your outreach. So what this means is we're shifting towards this mindset of spray and pray to signals. So not only who are you reaching out to, but why are you reaching out to them? What is the reason for your outreach and how is this helping them? This is from Insight Partners, I believe, for the source. I am right. I saw it on the slide. So in terms of like what we're going to talk about today, it's a specific type of signal. So there's a lot of different signals that you can talk about. You can talk about things like company signals. So what companies are more likely to convert. But that's really not that helpful if you don't know who at that company you need to reach out to. So that's where some of these UserGems signals come in. So the one we're most known for is past relationships. The one we're going to talk about today is new hires, but you can also think of things like customer referrals also in this like people signals. So who am I reaching out to break into this account? But you can also think of your own signals as well. So you can pair this with things like intent data, product usage, just overall sales data from your CRM. And you can use all of this together along with the UserGems data to figure out like what accounts are most likely to convert and then who at that account should I reach out to. But then the additional item here is, and then what do I say to them? So that's where we're going to kind of go through in this webinar. We're going to talk about what we do when a new hire joins one of our target accounts, what our messaging is, what automations we use, and then I'll talk about a little bit of what's next for the signals that we're planning to release this year. So we are a really outbound heavy team. Our pipeline is half outbound. So with this being said, we are also really big believers in automation, which is kind of a hot take, but we do love to automate things here at UserGems. So what we did last year, we used both champion tracking and new hires and promotions, so new enroll buyers at our target accounts. And we ended up generating 14% of our revenue just from new hires. So both of those together contributed to 40% of our revenue. So it's really, really important to kind of think about these two signals as separate, but together is where you really have this motion. And you want to have different campaigns and automations to support both of these signals. And you want them to be scalable. Like you don't want your team to have to go through things like sales nav and kind of finagle this all themselves. So you want to make sure that you have this action that goes with the signal that you're giving to your team. So actually, I will kind of talk about how you can use new hires in Sales Nav. If you don't have the new hires and promotion signal or account tracking with UserGems yet. But I will say that the way that we made this so successful is not just by having the data and not by just alerting our team of the signal. What really made this successful is the workflow that comes after it and what we're saying and what we're doing after we get the signal. So the first thing that we do, and it's probably something that you've all done already, because you're all customers, is define who you want to sell to, and create a report in either Salesforce or HubSpot and then give it to us. So we do the same thing. So we have three types of target accounts here at UserGems. So our first one is our just general ABX accounts. So like what accounts do we want our team to sell into? That's around 250-ish accounts per month. But then we also allow our ADRs, so like our SDR team, to pick accounts. And we call them their pet accounts, and then they can prospect into those. And then we also have our AEs can pick accounts, their WIT accounts, whatever it takes accounts. All three of those cohorts we use for this, and we track new enroll buyers at all three of those accounts. But to land in one of those types of accounts, they need to match our ICP. And then in terms of them joining our ABX report, they have to have at least one new hire that has joined within the last 3 months. That's a director plus, or one past champion manager plus in the last 6 months. So that's how we rank our ABX accounts. But in terms of like what we use to track new enroll buyers, it would be those three types of reports. And then all we did here is we used these existing filters. So we have filters for one for ABX, one for WIT, one for PET. We can create 3 different reports for those. And then we just assign, we just upload them actually into our own UserGems account. So if you've ever logged into your own UserGems dashboard, it's nothing fancy. We have the same exact one. We really do use our own product here. So we can really get into the nitty-gritty of it. So if you don't have the new hires and promotions signal or account tracking, you can pull new hires in SalesNav by using the role filter of less than 1 year. That's the most recent I've been able to find. You might be able to get it down from a year. I haven't found a way to do that. But you would also need to just upload a list of your customer or your target accounts too. So like if you have like your ABX accounts, you would also need to just add all the accounts, who you're looking for, and then you need to use the role filter of less than 1 year to find new enroll buyers. What I will say is after like that 90-day mark, they're not really like new enroll anymore in this capacity. So you might want to figure out some ways to kind of condense who you're actually reaching out to after you pull that report in LinkedIn. So after we have what accounts we're targeting, and we have our new buyers, we add them to outreach automatically. So what we do here is we throttle this actually, so we don't send more than 20 per day into a sequence. The first task is manual, so that's why we throttle it. So this is actually from our outreach. So our ADR director makes all of our sequences. They're actually very similar to the ones that are on our website too. She creates those as well, just like based on what we're using at the time. So our first step is actually a research task. So I will say that the new hires sequence is more manual at first than like the champion outreach sequence that you might be used to. And the reason is because you can really scale, like you can really easily scale the champion tracking one because you have all of those fields of like, you are my past user at like your past company, and like you've done this with me already. So like, here's all of these fields that I have for you that I can spit into the outreach. You don't really have this here. It's a colder form of outbound. So you really want to be thorough with like, yes, you're reaching out to them because they started this new job and they have a problem, but you want to make sure that you know their why, and you want to make sure that you stand out and understand what's actually going to matter to them. So here's all of the research that we use. Something that's really interesting could be to find the old position. There's actually a website that's escaping my mind where you can find like old variations of websites. So you can find old variations of a careers page and then find this person's job. If anyone remembers what that website's called, Wayback Machine. Thank you, Amber. you can use it to find the person's old position of what they, or that position that this person is currently being filled for. So you can see things like, what are their responsibilities? Sometimes they put like a 30, 60, 90 in there. Sometimes they'll talk about like what the position's going to be like responsible for, and you can use some of that for this outreach. But the next slide is going to show the actual first message. So we follow a very specific framework here. So basically what it says is the framework is first, don't ask them for anything in the first message. They need a moment to cook, like they just like need a second. And we want to acknowledge that, but we want to get in there early, because something that they're doing is they're in their first 30 days, they're learning and they're listening, and then they're buying. So we want to make sure that we're in there early, but not too overwhelming in the first 30 days. So the other thing that we always do in our first message is give them a useful piece of content. And a useful piece of content is normally not something like, here is a link to my website that you can look at my product. Something that's useful to them is, what was in that job description that I just used Wayback Machine to look at, find something that's relevant to solve their problem and somehow relate my product to it, and then send them that. So make it really specific and really helpful. And you can also send a gift. So I actually had a webinar this morning where Pete, the founder of Atrium, says he sends a bottle of champagne to any new hire in an account. This is not champions, this is new hires that join target accounts. So if you want to get really thoughtful, you can send them a bottle of champagne along with their useful piece of content, but you don't have to. And then just wanted to call out here that we do, since we are really outbound heavy, we always have a mix of steps. So we use LinkedIn, we use phone here. Back in the day, we still use it. I know that's kind of a hot topic, but it works for us. And then email. So with though the LinkedIn and the phone touches, what we do more so is reference what we've sent in emails rather than like try to pitch someone in like a LinkedIn DM or on the phone. So you can see here, it's just kind of like, hey, I sent you this email. Like, I hope that worked for you. Or like on the phone when we leave voicemails, like if that were to happen, it's more so like getting the name in their voicemail of like, hey, I sent you this email. Like, I hope you enjoyed this. Like, I hope this was useful for you. So we're not really kind of going through and like cold pitch slapping someone in a LinkedIn DM. And then this is screenshots of our workflows for this. So this is a new release. It's different from our customer job change automations. And I mentioned this, but I'm going to have a session on this in April because there's a lot you can do with workflows. But with our workflow, we have two separate ones. We have one for new hires and we have one for promotions. And the reason is because those have two different sequences. So in this specific one, what we do here is every time there is a new hire in a target account with the seniority level of director and above, we will first, Amber, if you go to the next page, I think I have screenshots of the next ones. We will add them to this sequence. So you can see our ABX Q1 2024 new hire high touch sequence. High touch just means that there's a lot more manual steps than some of our lower touch sequences that are a lot more automated. It's to be sequenced by our ADR owner. This could be a little bit special because sometimes, in our case specifically, our ADRs are not the account owner. So we need to make sure that it's sequenced by the correct person. So in this case, it's our ADR team. And then what we also do is we also send them a Slack message and we just say, hey, you had a new hire join a target account, and then we'll list their first name, last name, title, company. And then the action item is please go to outreach and complete the task in ABX Q1 2024 new hire sequence. So it's saying like, this is what happened. This is your next step. This is who it is. That's all that's in the Slack message. And this was our results. So we've been doing this now for the last like we really started automating this last year. So in terms of just new hires, it was 8% of our pipeline and 14% of our revenue last year in 2023, which was a really tough year if you are a 50% outbound team. And for both of our signals together, so for our champion job changes and new hires and promotion, was almost 40% of our overall revenue. So in our pipeline, our overall revenue, almost 40% of it just made up of these two signals. So it was really substantial in terms of like specific people signals and like what that meant to our pipeline and to our revenue number in 2023. For new hire tracking, yes, we are creating the contact in the CRM as well. We're adding it to the account, same way as we do champion job changes. And then I just wanted to give, just because this is a customer webinar, just kind of a sneak peek on where we're going this year in terms of signals. So new hires is not going to be the last signal you see from us this year. Our next signal is going to be champion referrals. So how do you automate a workflow from your existing customer base to give you a referral into their past company? So we're kind of connecting the dots here and automating workflow. This is in beta internally currently, but we're super excited about this one. And then we're also working on bringing your own signal. So if you have things like product usage, if you have things like website visitors, G2, 6sense, demand base, if you have any of these, you're going to be able to then combine those with UserGems. So that's also going to be a release this year along with customer competitors. So if you have sold a customer, what are some of their competitors that would also probably be a really great fit for a company? And like, what would the automation be on that? And something that I want to point out here is all of the signals that we're working on, there's always going to be an action associated with them. So they're always going to be added to some form of a messaging that's going to have, here's why I'm reaching out to you. Like, this is the reason for my outreach. It's not just going to be like, hey, would you like to buy my product? And just bumping this, like just wanted to see if you were interested in my product. We really believe that if we're going to be releasing all of these signals to sales teams, it's going to become noise if there's not a reason for them to reach out to them and there's not an action behind why we're releasing the signal. So every one of our signals is going to come with a workflow. The workflow for new hires and champion tracking are both live. And I'm going to share how to build workflows in April. So champion referrals, competitors, bring your own signal. All of our signals moving forward, they're all going to come with a workflow that you can either customize yourself or you can build it from a template that we have for you in our workflows dashboard. But I think I am dropping in the next slide just a plug for that one more time. So we're going to talk about workflows and how to build them. The real screenshots of this product were in a few slides back. So if you want to know what it actually looks like, that's what it looks like. It's also live if you have account tracking. If you go into your dashboard, there's a workflows button on the left-hand side. But if you need help with that, please let me know or let your CSM know. The last crowdsource, which is a poll and not a short question, it seems, would be, what else would you like from future Dig Deeper sessions? This is actually a really good time if you have any suggestions, if you want to put them in the chat of things that you would like to see, because I'm planning out the quarter for Q2, and it's really flexible. Champion referrals is expected at the end of June. And I say expected because that is when we are planning on launching it, but please don't bring this webinar up and send it to me at the end of June in case it's not launched. But hopefully June latest will be Q3. Yeah, UserGem signals decrease customer churn. This is great. Thank you, Jackie. I'm writing this down. Yeah, we actually just started to trigger. So we use Catalyst, and we use a lot of our UserGems functionality to trigger off plays in Catalyst. And then with new hires, we actually just started using it for our CS team. So basically, if we have a new executive that joins one of our customer accounts, we are going to be sending our customer success managers a Slack message. So it's not live yet. So I saw like one of our CSMs on here earlier. So she's going to be like, what are you talking about, Justine? But coming soon, as in like maybe 5 minutes. Yeah. Gainsight, we don't have a integration with. However, we also don't have an integration with Catalyst, and that's what we use. And we are able to trigger workflows in Catalyst just the same way from our own automations. So you should be able to do the same in Gainsight. Yeah, Teams is on our roadmap. That one I actually don't have a timeline on like I do for referrals. But yeah, we would love to be able to trigger in Teams. Right now, we can only trigger an email if you don't have Slack, which I know can kind of get noisy and lost. So we would hope to have Teams sometime this year. Cool. All right, everyone, that was it for me. If you have questions, if you have questions about workflows, if you have questions about how to get the new hire signal, you can talk to me, you can talk to your CSM. I am Justine at UserGems. I'm also on LinkedIn, Justine Wares. The new hire signal, if you don't have account tracking, is an additional signal. But what we can do for you is we can show you like what that would maybe look like in your org. So we can run a data test for you. If you're an existing customer and already have all of this like information, it's really easy for us to just kind of see like how that would affect you. Like in terms of us, like how we run our own data on what that did for our pipeline, we can do like a projection for you. Or if you're just interested in learning more, you can always reach out and kind of learn a little bit more from your CSM or your account manager. And then everyone attend workflows. If everyone wants to automate display, coming to workflows in April is going to be your best bet. But that is for me. I am going to go send all of you all of the Kate Middleton conspiracy theories. I can't believe no one else is on that side of TikTok, but I digress. Thanks everyone for joining. I will see you all next month.